Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Newhouse, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Acting Director, I'm going to try to Leitner. Sorry about that.
That was perfect, second time.
Second time. Well, thanks for being with us, sir. And I would also like to, through you, extend my thanks to the agents and officers, and analysts, attorney, everybody that works under you for the hard work that they do to mitigate transnational threats. Keep our community safe and appreciate that hard
you.
work. So, on the subject of detention beds, the fiscal year 25 budget request includes 34,000 detention beds. That's a level to the detention capacity provided in fiscal years 21 through 23, but a drop from last year's enacted level of 41,500. So I see that you're an experienced law enforcement officer. You have a long career in that. What, in your opinion, is the appropriate level of detention beds?
Thank you. Good question. The appropriate level does fluctuate. We're kind of driven by demand at the border, and then that intake will drive our numbers. You're correct. For fiscal year 24, which we're currently in, we have 41.5, but that was recently enacted. When we were building the budget request for fiscal year 25, we were operating under a continuing resolution from 23, which is at 25. So we actually went up 9. I know it's just a little convoluted, and I didn't like the way this was done, but we don't get to make the rules. It went up 9,000 from 23 to 25, but luckily we were taken care of in a meaningful way for the fiscal year 24 that hit in March at 41.5. However, saying that, we have a contingency fund in for the Department of Homeland Security that allows me instant access. I've been assured that. It's not the design I would want. I've been assured, though, that I have access to monies if needed to plus up those bed numbers to a level where it's required. Currently, we're at right around 35,000 is where we're sitting right now, but that has been higher. It only recently was reduced, and we're trying to get ready for some spring, summer flows. And we have to be flexible to be able to do that. But I'm assured that that 34 number plus the contingency fund will allow us the the ability to operate in 25.
So somewhere in the 40,000 range, probably.
Currently, although given some of the flows that were occurring last year, honestly, I would like to see the number closer to 50, as the secretary had mentioned. But we have a top line within the Department of Homeland Security, and we have to work within our budget. And he said it better than I, but I believe that we'll have the resources required to use detention as necessary.
So the non-detained docket has more than doubled under this administration to include 7.1 million migrants. This not only includes the 1.3 million that have final orders of removal, but at least 617,000 illegal immigrants with criminal convictions or pending criminal charges who essentially are out on American streets right now, free if they would like to reoffend. How does ICE prioritize migrants for the detained docket versus the non-detained docket, especially considering some of the recent news stories that we've heard of heinous crimes being committed by those who are here illegally?
Yes, so we prioritize both. We have to, but we're driven by flows that come off the border. So over the last quite bit of time, we've had support going down to CBP on the southern border. So we've had ERO and HSI personnel, but in this instance, it's important to focus on ERO that are assisting because of the border management and making sure we decompress areas, and we're being pulled. So it's pulling us away from our interior core line of business. So where we would normally have fugitive ops teams going out to try and pick up some of these individuals who are on the non-detained docket and amenable, we have to make decisions and move people around where it's the biggest pain point at a given period of time. So although we are not purely at the border, we're driven by some of those flows at the border, and we have to help CBP. So that's part of this. The other part of this.
So you're saying as the flow increases, the bar essentially lowers?
Not the bar lowers, but as the flow increases, our personnel get pulled. So we're getting pulled to assist, and we just don't have as many personnel to go out to pick up at-large individuals. Also, in non-cooperative jurisdictions, very often we do not have the necessary support from state and locals, where it makes it even more difficult for us to locate and apprehend these individuals. So it takes a lot longer. It's much easier to remove someone who's in detention where you know where they're at and you have all that information, and it's much more orderly. Where you have someone in the community, depending on the circumstances, is very complex, it's much more dangerous, and it takes much, much longer.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your responses. Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back.